Do you have what it takes, or will Marble Madness make you lose your marbles?
So, it's a bit of marbling you want to do, is it? Well, if you're anything like me, you would have seen on things like Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that people seem to have basically discovered the cheat code for marbling now, right? You can do some awesome marbling with some simple tricks according to these videos, and they basically break down into one of two methods. The first one, and the one I think most people will have known, is what I call the bog roll method, where you get an arse wipe, you dry it out, you stretch it out like a kind of a spider web, put it on a flat surface, spray paint through it. It's kind of like a cool stencil. You take it away. You know what I'm talking about. The second method, as far as I can tell, is basically to get really good at painting so that you can just basically paint marble. And I mean, who's got the time for that? I've had a mess around in the past with the bog roll method, and I've never really managed to get on with it quite well. Found it a little limiting, only works on flat surfaces, and I've never got it looking as good as they do in their videos, to be fair. Then that got me thinking, a couple of years ago on social medias and that, there was this thing, like a trend where people would get either shoes or skulls for some reason and dip them in water with spray paint on the surface, and it would make this kind of cool marbling effect. And I thought, well, maybe that can work for Warhammer, right? I don't have a bunch of shoes and skulls lying around, but I've got some Warhammer that needs marbling the shit out of, so maybe, just maybe, this is going to work for me. Now, before starting this experiment, I really wanted to set out some parameters of what I wanted to achieve. First thing first is I want to get a marbling effect that will work on any surface, because there's this model I've been making in ZBrush at the moment. He's a priest guy in a pulpit, and I think, wouldn't it be cool if that pulpit looked like it was made of the stone malachite? All green and twisty, kind of marbly. Think that would look really dope. So I really want to be able to do that, get a cool marble effect on any surface. The second thing is I want to try to find a consistent way of making nice marbling. With the bog roll method, I was finding it was a little bit hit and miss, and I wasn't getting consistency with it myself personally. And the last thing is I want it to be able to be used on not just models but scenery as well. How viable is this as a quick way of doing just a really shitty bit of scenery and making it look cool like it was made of marble?
Modeling just sucks.
So after a bit of preliminary fucking around off camera, it quickly became apparent that the type of spray paint I was using was going to be the key to success here. Most of the time when we're looking for decent spray paint, we're looking for something with good coverage that will go on any surface like juice. But abandon that instinct, because when you spray some of that high class shit on water, it goes all like chewing gum and would destroy the detail of any miniature. The key seems to be thinner paint, and anyone who has ever used metal spray paint, high temperature paint, or just cheap shitty spray paint from the pound store or whatever will know how watery and crap it can be. But that's actually just what we need here, watery shitty spray paint. Here you can see me rocking the Hammerite Direct to Rust Gold, and just look at that sloppy bastard slide. The priest model I showed you earlier has a secondary option where it carries a statue of Cyber Jesus, so I painted it half black and half white and gave it a good dunk with this jade colour from the Painter's Touch collection. I'd had some good success with these off camera, this range, so I had high hopes for this green. As you can see, it worked pretty well on the black, but didn't really show up that good on the white. So overall, mixed results. But it did highlight something, and that was that dark colours were going to work best with light paint, and light undercoats were going to work best with dark paint. With all that in mind, I thought I'd give our gold watery friend Hammerite a go with a black based model and see what would happen. And I also thought I'd give the statue another blast with the black Rustingtons to see if I couldn't calm it down a bit or spice it up in some way. Now, the other tip I would give you at this point is when you pull these models out of the water, you just got to let them dry naturally. Just sit them down to one side and forget about them until they're dry. Don't dab at them with a towel or nothing, because you're just going to end up making fingerprints on them and just fucking them up. Just sit them down and let them do their things for a little while.
Modeling just sucks.
So what did I learn from a day of this paint wasting exercise now all my models were dry? My biggest takeaway in these early stages was the importance of matching the colours up. This technique seems to be able to work if you get the right spray paint, but if you put the wrong colour with the wrong spray paint, then it just doesn't really have the same pop. I had a few more test prints from another model I had made laying around. If you want any of these models, by the way, get over to Cults 3D and search for Large Blast Podcast. Then I decided to base them in the good stuff, the Citadel miniature paint, just give them the best chance. And also I figured that if I set a precedent for this, that if anything went wrong, then you could always strip them in the way you normally would. Then I dunked a grey one in the Hammerdite green and a black one in the Hammerdite white. At this point in the video, two things happen. One, I started to look a bit different because I had a haircut. And two, I started to think to myself, what am I really doing here? If I lost my initial brief, I'm just dunking any old shit in any old paint I find lying around. What's going on? I need to be trying to focus on malachiting up this priest's pulpit. That's the goal here. So I fished out a very early test print when the design was a little different, but the pulpit was still the same, printed it off and based it in black and grey. Then I got out my old buddy Rust-Oleum's Painter's Touch Multi-Purpose Matte Black, to my mind the most superior of the dunking paints I've tried, and dunked him like I was Jordan circa 95.
Modeling just sucks.
So after I let these last few test pieces dry, I could really start to see some potential in getting to where I wanted to be. The white paint on the black model came out looking tip-top in my opinion. It did get a little gloopy in places, but all in all the patterning was beautiful, and I started to wonder about the possibilities of doing things in black and white and then painting the white paint afterward with contrast or a wash or something. The dark green came out with a kind of weird nurgly shine to it, like the statue had been sweating. It was quite nice, had some good patterning, had a sort of a jade-like effect, and the paint had been thin enough not to interfere with any of the details of the model. And now to the star of the show. My man
Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch Black Matte
does it again. The grey and black just work so well together, it just came out looking like some kind of granite or something like that. Covered every area seamlessly, didn't block up or go goopy or nothing, just came out perfect. So after this round of testing, it seemed the best way for me to get good results for my priest would be to base him, paint his pulpit white, then hit him with the black in the dip, then hit the white pulpit with the dip on with the green contrast paint to make a kind of malachite looking effect. So I had a go at that, and honestly I was pretty pleased with the results. Let's check them out. I mean, I say check them out, but I should probably warn you, I am terrible at filming and taking photos of models. I don't know what it is. Oh, we've gone in for a zoom up there. Look, you can see there, look, there's the malachite, looking pretty cool. Just the green contrast over the top of it, drifting a little bit out of focus, and I gave up on that. Okay, well, let's see what else. Oh, look, it's back. Cool, look, the malachite is back, looks good. Let's see the other side. Boom, look at that, twisting, turning. Let's have another go here. Let's have a look. Looking pretty good. Oh, put my hand in as a lazy Susan, giving it a spin. Look at that, it's nice. Oh, here comes my cat. Oh, fuck's sake, what a goddamn catastrophe. Yeah, so here he is. You know, I like him. I think he came out nice. I like the malachite effect. I definitely wouldn't have been able to do this if I hadn't dunked him in some spray paint, so I think that's a win. I know what you're thinking. It's alright for you, Stone. He sat there with your ZBrush and your 3D printer making weird-ass models with fucking malachite pulpits. That's nonsense. I'm just a lame-ass ultramarine player. I just sit around hanging out with tanks. I want to marble up a tank. What about me? Will this method work for me? Well, buddy, I've got you covered. This is a Space Marine tank. Pretty sure it's called a Sherman Russ or some shit. I don't know. I don't fuck with Space Marines. But I figured this would be a good test, you know. If I can marble up a generic Space Marine tank, then this method really has some legs. So I assembled it using my Wish ability, based it in black and grey, and then painted the areas that I wanted to be marbly in Corax white, before dunking it in the tried and tested Painter's Touch black. I think the pattern came out cool, nice and kind of granity. I got some cool streaky bits, some nice lines, which is what you're looking for. Although in the front it was a little bit blotchy, a little bit reminiscent of cowhide. I think in hindsight, if I was to do this again, I'd be a bit more mindful about the direction of which I dunked my tank. I went in kind of like on an angle like this, so I kind of like why I kind of got blotchy bits at the front. But I think if I'd gone more directly down, like kind of pancaked it on the top, it would have kind of streaked up the sides more. In general though, I'm going to mark the Spaceman marble tank up as a win. It got some twisty-turny marbly style patterns on it, which I think look pretty cool. And sure, some areas were better than others, but you know, marble comes from the ground. That's nature, innit? Just some bits of marble are better than others. Get over it. So what have I done here? What conclusions can I draw from this experiment? Well, let's have a look back at our goals, shall we, and see if we met any of them. First up, malachite pulpit. I was really happy with that in the end. I think that would have been in a really difficult texture to do any other way other than just hand paint a marble texture on that, and I'm not good enough to do that. So this was definitely a quick way of achieving that, and all in all I think it worked out well. So I think going on any surface I think is a big win. This works well for that. Number 2, consistency. Now, this is where we start to see some cracks appear in the method, because it's kind of difficult to get a consistent thing going on. You know, obviously you have to make a cool pattern in the paint and dunk it in. There's a kind of a timing element as well. You don't want to leave the paint in there too long so it goes gooey. Obviously do a little bit of experimentation before you don't get your best model out and just immediately start dunking it in any fucking spray paint you find around your house. Have a little test around. But I think consistency might come with practice more and knowing what you're looking for when you're dunking, things like that. But you're always guaranteed to get an interesting pattern, I think, at least, even if it's not necessarily the one you wanted. Number 3, versatility. Things like, what can this be used for? Scenery and stuff. I think this might be where this method really shines, because you could you could almost just get like a shoebox or something, you know, dunk it in a bunch of paint, boom, it would look crazy. I mean, it would be the start of something at least. You could do this on anything. It'd be really quick, really easy. On bigger things like scenery and stuff, some of the paints would be a lot more forgiving because you wouldn't be so worried about losing detail and stuff. I think this would really shine in terms of doing scenery, basing, stuff like that. The other thing that I think is worth rounding up on is the type of paint that I used. Obviously I recommend this Painter's Touch, this multi-purpose black one. I'll leave a link to the Amazon in the description. But there's a million fucking paint brands out there and I've not even tried a very small sample of them. So if there are other people out there who want to have a go at this, remember what I said, use watery paints if you can, but just have an experiment. There must be some other paints out there that probably do this amazingly, and you can you can really double them up and get crazy patterns going and things like that. So I think there is definitely potential to this method. Has it reached its full potential with me dunking a tank in some fucking black paint? Probably not, but hopefully you can find something cool to make with this, and yeah, hope this has been helpful. I've been Stoney from Large Blast Podcast. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.